here before we get to take a look at the Kansas State Wildcats. If you want to go to Jim Feist's YouTube page, it's called Sports Betting. You just click on the link above us to subscribe to that, and it's free. Also, if you want to go to the jimfeist.com website, just click on that football above me. That's a link to the site. Jim has NFL and college football previews, plus daily selections from the nation's top handicappers. And any new members to the site, sign up for free and you get a $50 credit. Well, let's take a look at the 2015 Kansas State Wildcats. You know, they have the best coach in the country in college football outside of Columbus, Ohio. That is in Bill Snyder, 24 years here. He does have 6 starters back on offense and 8 on defense. However, overall, this team is rebuilding because some of the key players are gone. The offense was extremely productive last year, as it always is under this coaching staff. 35.8 points per game, was 25th in the nation. They had more of a passing team. However, needs to find a new quarterback for 2015. Probably going to be junior quarterback Joe Hubener. 235 yards passing last year, just 1 TD and 1 interception. Now, Snyder does have a couple of freshmen in Alex Delton and Jarrett Stidham. However, he's a coach who just doesn't normally go for freshman starters, so I have to believe that Joe Hubener is going to be stepping in. Some good news is that 4 offensive line starters are returning, including a terrific left tackle in Cody White here. And the backfield, you got junior running back Charles Jones, 540 yards. He's back after leading the Wildcats in yards and TDs. They do lose a couple of 1,000-yard wide receivers, so that's going to be a place to look at to improve. They do have junior tight end Glenn Gronkowski back. Yes, he's the brother of Rob Gronkowski. Oh, he's not as big as his brother at 6'3", and hasn't been that productive. Last year he had 5 passes caught for 99 yards. They also have a senior wide receiver in Cody Cook, 251 yards, so that's an area to look at. The defense, though, has been outstanding for Snyder, and last year's team was 29th in the nation, allowing 23.2 points per game. He's got 8 starters back. In fact, this defense has been top 30 in points allowed in each of the last 2 seasons. That's going to be a strength for the Wildcats. Again, the secondary has safety Dante Barnett. He had 3 interceptions last year. Up front, you got lineman Travis Blitz, and the secondary also has cornerback Morgan Burns. It's a very strong unit all around. Barnett was a Big 12 honors last season. And so overall, the secondary has 3 or 4 starters back. Now, the schedule for Kansas State, they're going to be 3-0 with some early cupcakes. Then October 3rd, you got the first big game that is going to be against Oklahoma State. The remaining 6 games are going to be against teams that played in 5 bowls last year, including a pair of top 10 teams. Going to be playing TCU and Baylor at home. And the road games aren't too bad. UTSA, they got Oklahoma State, they got Texas, and they got Texas Tech and Kansas, so it's really somewhat of a favorable schedule, particularly on the road. So I'm looking at 9 to 10 wins, a very good defensive team. And Kansas State, yes, they will be bowling again. All right, what about a team like Texas Tech? They got a shot at going bowling?
I doubt it. Last year they were 4-8, 2-7 in the conference, 6-6 against the spread. They're on a 16 to 11 over run. They returned 9 offense, 7 defense, but last year they were 5th in passing, 82nd in rushing, a typical Texas Tech team. Cliff Kingsbury won his first 7 games as a coach, and then since then he's gone 5-13, 7-11 against the spread. Junior Davis Webb will probably be the starting quarterback. He threw for 24 TDs, 13 interceptions, 61% completion rate. Patrick Mahomes also played last year a lot, 16 TDs, 4 interceptions, 56.8%. In the spring game, Mahomes actually was a star. He was 12 of 16 for 169 yards and 2 touchdowns. Senior running back DeAndre Washington's back, 5.9 yards per carry, plus sophomore Justin Stockton, 396 yards, 8.3 yards per carry. Wide receiver, the loaded as usual, with Jakeem Grant, Devin Lauderdale, Reginald Davis. Defense, of course, that was pretty much horrible last year. 41.3 points allowed. That was 126 in the country. The last 5 regular season games, they allowed an average of 47.4 points, including that 82-27 loss against TCU. So, as you would guess, they hired a new defensive coordinator, David Gibbs, comes over from Houston. So hopefully they can make a dent in some improvement there. Linebackers strong though. Michael Alway, Sam Matoy, and Mike Mitchell. The schedule, they have a couple of non-conference home games: Sam Houston State and UTEP, and they have to play at Arkansas. At home in the conference, they have TCU, Iowa State, Oklahoma State, Kansas State. On the road, Baylor, Oklahoma, West Virginia, and Texas. I don't see any road wins there. And maybe a couple conference home games. I think they'll be lucky to go 5-7, John.
Okay, I'll take a look at Iowa State. This is a team that is all back-to-back train wreck seasons, really, because of injuries and a lack of depth. There's actually quite a few positives to look at with the Cyclones. First of all, you got 8 starters back on offense and 8 on defense, and they've got a terrific coach in Paul Rhodes. When they went to the 2012 Liberty Bowl, that was their 3rd postseason appearance in 5 years. This team has been in bowl games more often than you might think. And when this team is healthy, they're actually very competitive. Even last year's team, when healthy early on, they started off with 2 wins and 5 losses, but 4, 1, and 2 against the spread, and that included a big upset of rival Iowa. They were 2-touchdown underdog, won the game 20-17. But what happens with this program is they pick up injuries in mid-season, and they just don't have the depth. They are unable to stockpile depth. But still, the talent, when healthy, coming into September is actually above average. They get 2 quarterbacks who have a lot of experience. One is senior quarterback Sam Richardson. He's been playing since his freshman year. Last year, 18 touchdowns and 9 picks before breaking down with some injuries. He also had 421 yards rushing. The injuries have allowed junior quarterback Grant Rohawk to get in there the last 2 years, and he played last year, had 281 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 pick, so they're kind of set at quarterback. The running game has senior Devontrick Neely, and in the spring, the offensive coordinator, Mark Mangino, who's in his 2nd year, was actually working on the running game a lot, and he talked about having some offensive balance, which makes sense. But I don't think this team is going to be balanced for a couple reasons, and one of them is they're so loaded at wide receiver. Last year, the passing game was actually very good with over 248 yards passing per game, and they've got so much talent and depth back at wide receiver. First of all, Quentin Bundridge is back. He missed pretty much all of last year because of an injury suffered in the first game. But 2 years ago, he had 676 yards. That was third in the Big 12 with 9 touchdowns. He's got speed, is a big play threat. Because of that injury, they had to go with a freshman in Alan Lazard last year, and he turned out to be a terrific find with 45 catches. Plus, they got the leading receiver back in 6'5" junior Devario Montgomery with 605 yards. So I think it's going to be a very good passing team. And they're probably going to be behind often and have to pass a lot because the defense was just terrible last year. 38.8 points per game. That was 118th in the country. Good news is they have a lot of talent back, particularly depth on the line, but that has been a problem. Secondary looks to be the strength of the team, so opponents can run at them. The team they don't want to face is Oklahoma, that has just crushed them 48-10 and 59-14 the last 2 years. And as far as the schedule, they're going to open with a couple of rivalry games, Northern Iowa and Iowa September 12th. And week 2 is their big rivalry game. They're also going to be playing at Toledo and then home to Kansas, so they could potentially start pretty good, 3-1 or maybe even 4-0. Got some tough road games, Texas Tech, Baylor, Oklahoma, Kansas State, and West Virginia. That's going to be real tough. But still, overall, it's going to be tough down the stretch playing 4 of 6 away. But with the offensive talent they have back, I can see this team competing for 6 wins and a possible another bowl, which they have done lately. All right, let's take a look at another team, and that is the Mountaineers out of West Virginia, Jeff.
Yeah, Dan Horgerson probably did his best job as a coach last year. Nobody expected much from him, and they ended up 7-6, 5-4 in the Big 12, 7-6 against the spread. They also were they were 9-4 to the under last year. This year returned 9 on offense, 7 on defense. They lost 2 of the best players, quarterback Clint Trickett and wide receiver Kevin White. But this year looks like senior quarterback Skylar Howard would be the starter. They have 4 other freshmen on the roster, 4 other quarterbacks on the roster, but they're all freshmen or redshirt freshmen. Last year, Howard had 8 TDs and no interceptions, 51% of completion rate. He played in 3 games, including that 45-37 bowl game, lost Texas A&M. In that game, though, he threw for 346 yards, had 3 TDs and no interceptions. And this wide receiver, they still have some depth. Jordan Thompson, Dakil Shorts, and also the running back, Rush O'Shell, is back. He averaged 4.5 yards per carry. He's a junior. Last year, he had 788 yards on the ground. 3 starters are back on the offensive line. In the spring game, it was redshirt freshman Dante Thomas Williams who had 15 carries for 87 yards. Wendell Smallwood also provides depth at running back. So they're pretty good shape there offensively. If Skylar Howard can manage the game well and not make a lot of mistakes, they should be fine on offense. Defense, they lost a lot of talent on the line. They still have linebackers though, Isaiah Bruce and Shaq Petaway. Secondary returns as top 3 players. So right now, things are looking a lot better in West Virginia than they did a couple years ago, because it looked like the Horgenson would have been gone. Looked like they were underachieving, and they weren't ready for the Big 12 yet. But right now, they look decent. I was looking for maybe a 7-5 season. The schedule, they start out with Georgia Southern, Liberty, then Maryland. At home, in the conference, they got Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, Texas, and Iowa. The problem is their toughest opponents are on the road this year: Oklahoma, Baylor, TCU, and Kansas State. That might be the problem there. So I say another bowl game at least there, John.
All right, Kansas probably won't be in a bowl game, our final team here in the Big 12. 2014, their team motto was one team and one chant. Well, they could have added one win because that's all they got in the Big 12 at 1-8. They were 3-9 overall, but there's a lot of changes for the Jayhawks. First of all, they have a new coach in Dave Beatty. He comes in from Texas A&M, and he has a reputation of being very good at recruiting in the Kansas area and in the state of Texas. So he's going to be recruiting speed for the offense, and they certainly need it. I mean, the offense averages 17.8 points per game. They also have a new offensive coordinator in Rob Likens. This guy worked at Sonny Dykes, alongside Sonny Dykes at Cal. So you know what the offense is going to be. It's going to be like Texas Tech and Cal, all passing all the time, and a quick strike attack. And Beatty, too, the head coach, he was offensive coordinator at Rice. That was an all-passing offense, as well as Kansas back in 2011. Now at quarterback, there are players coming back, and Michael Cummings, he's a senior with 9 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and over 1,700 yards passing. They also have junior quarterback Montel Cozart, 5 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and 701 yards last year. However, the guy I think to watch out for is this junior quarterback, TJ Millward. He's a pro-style quarterback, and he transferred from UCLA in 2014. So Millward is probably going to be a good fit for what they're trying to build here at Kansas. They do have a sophomore running back in Corey Avery. He had 631 yards last year and is a good building block around. And the passing game adds a freshman tight end in Ken Taylor. He's big, and he transferred from Florida. Plus, I mentioned that Beatty came from Texas A&M. Well, he was able to bring one of those wide receivers that was formerly with the Aggies. LaQuavante Gonzalez has transferred in, so already that influx of some speedy Texas talent has arrived. The defense for Kansas was terrible last year, 33.3 points per game, so they are also rebuilding. A good player to watch is junior defensive end Anthony Olobia. He's in there. Plus a junior college transfer is safety Bazzi Bates. So they are rebuilding and do have some good pieces to work with. The schedule is actually some winnable games early on for Kansas. They're going to be playing South Dakota State, Memphis. Those are both at home. Got a road game at Rutgers and then at Iowa State. And they got some tough road games, Oklahoma State, Texas, and TCU. No, those are not winnable. For totals players, I note that Kansas is 15-8-1 run under the total. However, I think that's going to go the opposite with this coaching staff throwing every down. Plus, I think the Kansas defense is going to be several years away. I look at Kansas to be a team that's going to be able to score, but they're going to give up points. So I'm looking at Kansas in September in particular over the total. All right, let's tell you about some offers that we have coming up for the football season. Jeff Saad runs Las Vegas Sports Services, and you've got a September NFL special where you're going to get all 4 weeks of the NFL preseason, and that's for video viewers only. How's that work, Jeff? Right.
As a lot of handicappers will tell you, preseason NFL is probably sometimes easier to win than the regular season. It's just if you have enough information and you look at all the trends, sometimes you can make a lot of money in preseason. So I'm going to give you the entire month of the preseason, all 4 weeks, only $19. Just call the number on your screen. You get all the 5-star plays in the NFL preseason all the way through the month of August and all the way through the preseason. Just $19. Call the number on your screen, and you get it for just $19.
All right, you can get a similar offer from Jim Fice. You're going to get 4 weeks, the entire NFL preseason, including Jim's preseason game of the year. All 4 weeks for $29 just by calling that number on your screen. Heck, you might as well sign up for both LVSS and Jim. Just sign up before August 7th. You get 4 weeks of action. All right, make sure you check out YouTube plus JimFice.com for more pro-line, college football, and NFL previews. Good luck with the games, everyone, and we'll see you next week with another edition of Pro Line.